Permaculture teachings. Permaculture garden zones of use. So garden zones are a helpful way to design your food forest with your house as the center and zones going out concentrically from there. For example, in this diagram here in the description, which comes from the Permaculture Research Institute. You can see these permaculture zones of use in a drawing. The square in the center is zone 0, your house. Now, of course, each site has a unique shape other than round, but representing them graphically here as circles helps us demonstrate the concept. The farther away you get from your house, the less often you will go there, and therefore, the more self-sufficient the plants in that zone need to be. And we will spend less time in zones far away from the doors of our house than we spend in the closest zones. That makes sense. The minute you walk out the door, you're in zone 1, right around your house. You're seeing all the plants that are right next to you. That's the first thing you'll see every time you go in, and the last thing you'll see every time the first thing you'll see every time you go out, and the last thing you'll see every time you go in. So let's talk about zone 1. Zone surrounding your home is zone 1. Each time you walk outside the door, you are in this zone. Zone 1 is classically the place to plant your favorite cooking herbs so that you can quickly harvest them for the kitchen. It's also a place to keep whatever you use the most and what you need to keep an eye on all the time, like potted seedlings, tender herb gardens, and even baby chicks can hang out near the house in their portable cages. If you're if you're growing seedlings in little pots and you leave them out far away and don't keep an eye on them, you can bet they're going to get too hot and they need a lot of attention. So the things that you like for convenience and the things that you use frequently go into zone 1, which is called the domestic zone. Also, here's where you may put your seating and dining tables, outdoor offices, showers, baths, and harvest processing workstations. What we see when we naturally give whatever we see often, we naturally give our attention to. However, if we put something far away from the house, we can easily forget to check on it as we are busily engaged in life. Our zone 1 includes a table and chairs under a shady tree, a chicken coop, a greenhouse, an outdoor sink and counter, an outdoor shower, and a kitchen garden with cooking herbs. To protect your house from water damage and invasion from creatures, I recommend creating a 2 to 3 foot wide sidewalk or another type of walkway around your home where you're not planting right up next to your home. You do not want plants growing right up against the building and providing access to the walls for insects and rodents. Walkways around the house give you a place to walk around to access your exterior walls. And if they slope gently away from your home, they will divert water away from the building. Also put up rain gutters and divert the rain away from the house into the surrounding soil. And we'll talk more about this in step 6. Now let us move on to zone 2, the next area outside zone 1. This area still gets visited often, but only after passing through zone 1. Zone 2 is the domestic self-reliance zone. This zone grows most of our veggies, berries, fruits, and nuts. It's a place to put up a storage shed, a greenhouse, or perform composting operations. Our zone 2 includes a storage shed and a sunny meadow for low-growing edible and medicinal plants. Zone 3 is the farm zone. It's visited less frequently than zone 2. Areas like pasture or market farming go on in this zone. Our zone 3 has more fruit and nut trees and wild growing vegetables like Swiss chard, fennel, evening primrose, brambleberries, and other independent plants. Zone 4 is the forage zone that needs minimal care. For example, this zone would be for foraging mushrooms or wild herbs in a semi-wild area, or maybe for letting your sheep graze or your cows graze or goats. And zone 5 is the wilderness zone, where we can observe the wilderness. The importance of leaving this zone as a natural wilderness is to allow nature to do whatever it does. We can learn from nature by observing, pondering what we see, and recording the information. Each of the zones is interconnected, even though they have different uses. For our suburban backyard food forest, we just have zones 1, 2, and 3. But this diagram and this module is for you to understand that these principles exist, and you can study them in more detail if you like, or just keep this wisdom in mind as you develop your food forest. The longer you keep interacting with your food forest, the more obvious these zones will become.